Hi guys, welcome back to our channel, The Forester Chronicles. My name is Tiffany.
I'm Brian.
So if you have been following us for a while, you know that we recently in May went to the Maldives to celebrate our 5-year wedding anniversary, as well as me obtaining my doctorate degree. So once we went and we're posting pictures on our Instagram, we received a lot of questions regarding, some tips on how to plan a trip to Maldives. So we decided to record a video. We're going to try to keep this as short as possible, but we want to make sure that it's thorough. But if we don't cover something that you all have questions about, don't hesitate to leave us a comment or question down in the description box down below, or in the comment section below.
So we want to start off by saying the best time to go to the Maldives. So pretty much there's two seasons in the Maldives. There's a dry season and there's a rainy season, which they call it the monsoon season. The dry season is from November to April, and the rainy season is from May to October. As you guys know, we went the first week of May. Our anniversary is May 5th, so we went during that time period, right on the beginning of the rainy season, and we didn't experience much rain. I think it kicks off somewhere down the line, maybe June or July or whatever, but if you go in May, you'll experience great weather. I think the high was like 90 and like the low was like 70s or something like that, but it was.
So the next thing we want to discuss are visa requirements. So keep in mind, when we're discussing visa, we're talking about visa requirements for U.S. citizens. So if you're not a U.S. citizen, just make sure you research what your visa requirements are for your country entering the Maldives. But if you are a U.S. citizen, of course you have to have a valid passport. Make sure that it doesn't expire within 6 months of travel. You have to make sure that you have an onward or returning flight scheduled, and make sure that you have sufficient funds. So they didn't really check our funds, but it does include that in one of the visa requirements. You don't have to obtain a visa prior to traveling to Maldives. You'll immediately get your visa free of charge when you land in the Maldives airport. So don't worry about getting it beforehand. As long as you have all the other requirements, you will be able to get it once you land.
Okay, so the next thing is bringing alcohol into the Maldives. That's a big no-no. So, it's a Muslim country, so it's a strict policy on bringing alcohol into the country. But when you go to resorts, they do provide alcohol. It's a little bit more expensive. Well, it's a lot expensive, but yeah. So there's opportunity for you to get drinks when you're there. So don't worry about bringing anything in there, because it'll probably be confiscated by customs or whoever runs the airport.
And another fun fact that I saw when I was just looking up the customs, they're not allowed to bring vibrators into the country. So I know that may seem silly, but I know that there are people that travel alone, do solo travel. So you might sometimes want to bring your vibrator with you to have some happy evenings, but don't try to do that for Maldives. I haven't tried it. I don't know if they really enforce it or not, but I did see that in my research. So please keep that in mind if you are considering doing so. So for flight. Everything that we're going to discuss is coming from the East Coast because that's where we live. So of course flights are going to vary depending on where you're leaving from. But when we flew to Maldives, we did a stopover in Dubai. So we broke up our flight a little bit, but total travel time, flying time to get from the East Coast to Maldives is going to be approximately 18 hours. So if you're looking for a quick flight somewhere, this is not the country to visit. It's going to take a while to get there, but believe me, it's well worth the traveling time. So we flew 14 hours to Dubai. We stayed in Dubai for a couple of days, and then from Dubai to Maldives, it was a 4-hour flight. You can get to Dubai in most cases from the East Coast 2 ways. So you can either stop over or lay over in Dubai, or you can lay over in Sri Lanka. So you can choose which is better for you. Of course, flight airlines always change their flight patterns. So maybe eventually there'll be a nonstop flight. I don't know, but we haven't seen one yet from the East Coast. We chose Emirates for our flight. Of course, you can choose any airline that goes to Maldives, but we chose Emirates, and we loved that airline and our experience there. There was a flight deal that we received. So for round trip for our flight to Maldives was around $800. Of course, it's going to vary between what season you go, if there's a flight deal or not, and what airline you choose. But generally speaking, that's how we chose our flight.
So the next topic would be transferring to your resort. So once you land into Mali Airport, to get to your resort, you have to either take a seaplane or a boat. So the boats are, you could book a boat which is much cheaper, and that's for the, I wouldn't say local, but the less remote resorts in the Maldives. But when you do a seaplane, that's for more remote locations. Like we took, our seaplane was about an hour flight.
All right, so just keep that in mind. Some people are really afraid of seaplanes. If you are, make sure you choose a resort that's fairly close to the airport so that you don't have to deal with the seaplane. If you are on a tighter budget, you might want to choose a location that's closer to the airport because then you can do boat transfer. But if you're looking to be really far out, like he said, remote, you're going to have to do seaplane. So just keep that in mind. And generally speaking, we did a seaplane, so we happen to have a deal from our resort for it. But I think generally speaking, you can spend anywhere in between like $250 to $650, $700 per person round trip for a seaplane. So we wanted to mention this in the boat transfer is around $100, so it's a lot less expensive. Yeah, so we want to mention transfer. We don't normally talk about transfers. We talk about how to plan a trip somewhere, but this is a place where you have to budget for the transfer.
Yeah, you just have to.
Yeah, you can't just think you're gonna fly into Maldives and then that's it. So we want to mention that. Next, hotel. So of course, as with anywhere else you travel, you can be as luxurious or as modest with your hotel that you choose. So typically people want to go to the Maldives because they see the pictures of the overwater bungalows. Typically for those, they're more expensive. They do have various options so that you can save money in the Maldives. So you can choose a beach villa versus an overwater bungalow. You can choose an overwater bungalow that does not have a pool versus having one with a pool. And I've heard some people that choose to stay with local families in Malé, and then they just visit different resorts during the day and they pay to visit those resorts. Or some people that choose to do a boat transfer to a resort that's closer to the airport that has less expensive rooms, that doesn't have all the amenities, and then they choose to do the day trips to more luxurious resorts. So just keep that in mind. You can make it as expensive or as inexpensive as you want. For us, we chose Como Malifusi. You heard Brian mention Como earlier. And we really loved that experience. We looked hard for a lot of hotels, and we wanted to experience Maldives. Like, we did not want to cut corners. We wanted to do an overwater bungalow. We wanted one with a pool because we weren't really trying to use the beach at the bungalow. There's a lot of animals and creatures swimming down in there. So
a lot of wildlife.
we knew we wanted a pool and we wanted to do the beach. So if you guys are interested in seeing, what our room looked like at Como Malifusi, we will link the video that gives a room tour above. So make sure you check that out if you're interested. If you're also interested in looking at some of the activities we did in Maldives and what our experience was like, you can check out our Come Along With Me style travel videos, and we will link those in the description box down below. So, typically for overwater bungalows, you're going to spend, I think the cheapest we've seen is around $800, and then they can go up a lot, if you want to suite and stuff like that.
That's like $800.
Oh yes, thank you, per night. So make sure that you really budget for that. So it can be from $800 to infinity. Yeah. Just depends on what you want.
Yeah, and like you said, you can also do the beach villas, and they'll typically be a little more inexpensive, probably like around $400 to $500 or something like that. So some people might do half on the beach and then do half in the old water bungalows or whatever the case is. I mean, you're all in the Maldives at the end of the day, so you can take advantage of everything, but it just depends on your budget and what you want to do. Okay. So the next topic we want to talk about is food and drinks. So like I said earlier, with the alcohol is expensive. I remember this vividly because
I don't even know what he's about to say.
No, I remember the prices vividly because like if you wanted like a Johnny Walker just straight, on the rocks or whatever, that was like $12. But if you wanted like a mixed drink, that was somewhere around like $16 to $18 or whatever per drink. So it could get pretty costly. So I pretty much did everything on the rocks because I was like,
just buy a Coke on the side.
Everything is imported from different places. You know, there's nothing really being produced there besides vegetables and things like that. But if it's a lot of the products are imported, so drinks are expensive. Also, the food is pretty expensive. I think the cheapest thing that we saw on the menu at the time while we were there was probably about $20 bucks, $25, and that was like for a hamburger.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you have to factor that into your budget.
It's not one of those places where people say it's expensive to get there, but once you get there, it's not. No,
it's not. There's no fast food options on the resort. Like you have to eat what they provide or whatever. And like I said, the menu was pretty expensive. Luckily, our resort Como Malafusi, we had a deal with them that gave us half board, which includes you can either do breakfast and dinner or lunch and dinner. So we did breakfast and dinner. We
for free. They gave it for free.
Yeah, for free included or whatever. So pretty much everything on the menu is included. So it's not like you get half board and then like you only get selected limited options.
Yeah,
you get all the options on the menu. So when you book with a hotel, you know, make sure you look at what type of perks they give you when you book with that specific resort. Because it was those two women was trying to make a decision on, but we just went with the half board one because it was just a better deal. You know what I'm saying? The accommodations were similar, but it was just that one extra perk that made us decide to go with Como. So
yeah, they gave us a lot of deals. So what Brian was saying, and he mentioned it, but I just want to emphasize it. We got these deals from booking directly with the hotel website. So there are options, of course, to book through third-party sites like Travelocity, Expedia, and other places. They did not have those same deals. So when we were talking about the seaplane transfers earlier, we had a like 2-for-1 deal on that. So we saved money there. Like you mentioned with the food, we only paid for lunch every day, and lunch was typically you spend the least on breakfast and lunch. So for lunch, sometimes we just get pizza or something. So you can really save more money there. And then like he was saying, even though the food is expensive, we had breakfast and dinner free, and we were not limited at all. Like we had 3-4 course meals for breakfast and dinner.
But they do charge you to bring it to your room. I think it's like a $5 charge, something like that. Nothing
we
crazy.
Didn't care. We were like, we ain't paying for breakfast anyway.
Yeah, so it's not a big deal. I'll take that $5. I'll pay them $5.
Try to get somewhere that gives you half or full board if you can.
Yeah, if you can. If that option is out there. But if you don't, you're going to probably be looking at almost $200 a day just on food. So.
Yeah. Another thing I want to mention really quick, because we did receive this question in one of our videos from Maldives. When you do get a overwater villa, you're typically farther out from the like the beach and the restaurants on the hotel. And so what most hotels do is they give you bikes where you can bike back and forth between your overwater bungalow and the stuff at the resort. And also if you are handicapped or you have some restrictions where you can't bike, they do have golf carts where they can pick you up and stuff like that. So that's nothing to worry about if you're concerned about that with the overwater villa. The last thing we want to discuss is water. So I know people have questions about whether the water is okay to drink or not when you go to different countries. For Maldives, the water is potable. You know, you can drink it. It's fine. But I will caution that some people, if you have a sensitive stomach like myself, you're just not used to it. You know, I'm used to drinking water that's filtered a certain way in the United States, and so it goes through a different filtering process in Maldives, and our resort made their own water. So Brian was fine. Like, it didn't impact him at all. And most people are fine, but it did upset my stomach a little bit. But they have bottled water too, so you don't have to drink the water there. But generally speaking, the water, you're fine with drinking the water in Maldives. I think that's it. But yeah, we know a lot that we said it makes Maldives seems really expensive, and it is one of the more expensive places to go. But there are ways that you can cut corners. You know, we find ways to make $1 holler wherever we go. We try to find deals. So it was still expensive even with our deals, but it was well worth it, the experience. We definitely want to go back. But if we missed anything that you still have questions about, like I said before, let us know, and share this video with someone you think could use it if they're planning a trip to Maldives, and we will see you in our next video. Bye.